Okay, the head is finished. I very gingerly and carefully ran it through the flap sander. I haven't burned it yet, but I want to get this next step done. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take care of this groove right here. As you can see, I've added a few things on here since the last time. Now you don't need to do this. I just did it for the fun of it. I put the clip on there to hold his hat, the lantern to the get this out here. This thing right here holds the lantern onto the hat, goes down into that leather strap. I put the little wire bracket, which is right there. Again, you know, this is stuff you really don't have to do. I went and I drilled a hole next to the actual nozzle for the flame for the striker. This is just like a flint cigarette lighter. It goes right there. Just something to indicate that it's there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill that crack, and to do that I'm going to use this wood filler. Okay? Got me a toothpick here that I just chopped the end off of, and I'm just going to get me a little of that, I hope. And I'm just going to mash it in here. Force it down into that crack like that. Crack is pretty full already from the glue. We'll just make sure it's full. And then take a wet brush. This has got some water on it. And just smooth that out like that. A little down in there that I don't want. There we go. Now we'll just let that dry, and then we're going to come back and tape the head off and spray the hat with primer, because we want to get a good bond with the primer on this metal. Alright, so we'll do that in just a second. Okay, what I'm doing here is I have a roll of painter's tape. Make sure you use that. And I'm just taping off the head. Probably take a couple different pieces. Just want to make sure I get it good up in there. This will be the one spot. Notice there's always one thing. Always one thing. No matter what you do, there's always one thing that proves difficult. And there it is.
Shows the back.
I'm going to tape it.
Eagle.
good my aim is with that spray gun, but
Oh,
tape it all. Looks pretty good. Alright, now we're going to go spray it. Okay, this is what I'm going to use. This is self-etching primer. Make sure you use this stuff because it's got some kind of chemical in it that actually etches the metal when you put it on there, and it just gives it a little better holding period than the cheap primer you can buy in the paint section. And also, you notice it doesn't have notice there's no nozzle on this thing. That's because for some reason this primer just constantly clogs up the nozzles. So what I do is I just got my little container here and I filled it full of mineral spirits. And when I'm finished painting, I put the nozzle in there. And that keeps it clean. Oh! You were supposed to see that. Let's see. Yep, works fine. Okay, then Judy said, what about the wood? Well, that's not going to hurt the wood at all. So we're going to just lightly coat this. That'll do it. Now we'll just set this aside to dry. What did I just do? I just did exactly what I told you I did. So just take that thing off and drop it back in there. And then put the lid on it. You can see here how the paint gathers around there and everything. So that's the best solution. Otherwise you're going to end up with the clogged nozzle and you'll throw away half or 3/4 of the can of primer. So we'll just put that away and put this out in the sun and let it dry. Okay, the primer's dry, so let's just see what we got here. There's a few holidays on there, but not enough to worry me. There we go. Looks pretty good, huh? Alright, so this is ready to paint now. We got a nice hard finish on that bill, so we know paint will stick on there. Our cracks are pretty well filled up, but you know, a hat will have things like that because this hat is a leather bill. Look at there, see, there's a crack right there, and I got the crack right there. See there?
no, I don't see.
Don't have that hole, but can't have everything. So it looks pretty good. So, what's next? Okay, the next step in this thing is to do the figure. Now, doing the figure. That's definitely too big. That's the same size. That's too small. That's getting close. That one's getting close. Let's just have him stand up here. But it's small. That one's definitely too big. Got one more here. See what this one is. Now that's pretty close, but it's still too small. So what I'm going to have to do is draw out a new profile for this guy before we can go on. So I'll have to do that, and we'll do that in the next video and cut out the blank for the body. So we're moving right along here. I'm sorry it's taken a while to do this, but I got other things to do. And here's an example of one I'm working on. Poor guy's going to have his guitar all shot up by the time I'm finished, strings going everywhere. Sour Note Charlie. Here's another one I'm working on. Had this horse sitting here for about the last 3 months. One of these days I'll get him done, Indian horse. Got to get off my can and get to work. So anyway, next time we'll work on the body, and until then I'll talk to you later.